Welcome to Female Founder Fridays, and we are here today with Trish Scanlon, the CEO and founder of Soapbox Labs. Thanks so much for being here, Trish.
Thanks for inviting me.
One of my favourite Irish companies.
Oh, fantastic.
Tell us all about Soapbox Labs.
So Soapbox Labs, we develop speech recognition specifically for children. So it is a kind of known problem in academia. People are beginning to be familiar with this concept now that voice recognition doesn't work. That's been designed for adults, built off adult data, doesn't work as well for children. And below the age of 12, it starts getting progressively worse as you get into about the age 4. So we identified a fairly significant gap in the market that people weren't looking as keenly at children's voices as they were with adults going back a number of years. And even to this date, most technology out there that's voice enabling products. It could be a smart device in your home, it could be an app, it could be a game, it could be a robot or a toy, just doesn't have the performance that we're beginning to expect from voice recognition, speech recognition technologies. So we specifically design for kids. We license our technology to third parties, so they bring the products to market. So we can actually license into a number of different fields in that way. So we can go for the education, entertainment, utility, and we voice enable. And it's a cloud-based platform, so it's global, and we get as much reach as, very strong across multiple verticals in that way. And we are very, we are the experts on children's voice recognition, and we've maintained that market lead quite strongly in the last few years.
So talk about a global market, right? So it's kids.
Yeah.
It's the technology is AI and machine learning, so that's really hot as well. It's voice. Yeah. I mean, voice
first is now actually a new term. It used to be digital first. It's actually been voice first is quite wide, and the expectation now is that if you get into your car and you can use your voice to control things, well, the kids in the back are certainly not going to stay quiet. So they have to be able to. You have to be able to cater them. People are beginning to wake up to the fact that they haven't been catering for kids until now, and now they have a problem. So we get a huge amount of inbound interest across the globe on that they've tried everything that's out there and nothing seems to be working for kids' voices. So you put a device into a home, IoT, your smart fridge, your smart TV, everywhere we're going to see voice, outside of the office, the minute you take it outside of the office, you have to expect kids are going to use it because there is no barrier to entry for a child, right? There's no password, you just use your voice. So if the device is up there, they can't reach it, they talk to it. You have to be able to enable it. And so it's exploding. 2018 is an amazing year for voice technology, so it's great to be in the middle of it.
Yeah, and it's great to be in the middle of it and based in Dublin.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's a fabulous community here for really cool deep tech companies like yours.
It is, and it's a great bed for hiring as well. And it's an attractive place for people to come to. I think there's a lot of good reasons. I mean, when we say, we do all our tech in Dublin, it's actually competitive with the US. So if you try to hire in AI now in the US, you'll struggle. You'll certainly struggle as a startup to be hiring quality, experienced people in the Valley. So Dublin has a remarkable advantage because we're English speaking, we're in the EU and we will remain so. Mm-hmm. And when people are looking for visas, they can't really look to the US much anymore, depending on what country you're from. And then Britain was their second choice, most people, if they want to come to an English speaking country. Obviously with Brexit, it's caused a huge amount of insecurity, we don't know what's going to happen there. So people are looking to Dublin. We're actually finding it, we're able to hire in a really, really difficult space because we're based in Dublin. Mm-hmm. And then people like the buzz here, they like the community, they like the deep tech, they like that we're surrounded by multinationals. It's a very attractive place for people to come. And we're not having as big a problem hiring as we know other AI companies are.
That's a great story, yeah. And Dublin is such a cool place to live, and Ireland is such a great place to bring up a family and all of that as well.
Yeah, we have many families working with us now, or people who have families working with us.
Yeah, we won't talk about the weather.
No,
we recognise that there are some we're not perfect. Yeah,
exactly.
So you're the founder of a technology company with global reach. Was this always what was meant to be? I mean, didn't you start out as an academic?
Yeah, I think I think when I was young, I kind of wanted to be an inventor, and then I went and did engineering, and then I went and got a job for a couple of years as an engineer, and then I discovered this is not inventing. I'd like to really invent, so I went and did a PhD. I started that in 2000 in speech recognition. So I started here in UCD, and speech recognition back then was like, it was a cool futuristic technology that was very limited in how it worked and the quality of it and the scope. But it was something very cool. I love the idea of working with people, so you'd actually have technology that would interface with a real person. And that was quite exciting because it was kind of fun to work with and you could see it working. And then I ended up spending a lot of my time during PhD in New York, in Columbia University in a research lab there, and then in IBM research, which a real hotbed of speech recognition at the time as well. And they were leading the field, so actually getting exposure to that. And even back in 2003, I saw a demo of a smart assistant given in 2003, and the guy was, I can imagine you're in your car and you're driving and the assistant's going to direct you to the nearest restaurant, that the traffic isn't heavy and it's got good reviews, and he actually did a demo, much like we see the Googles and the Apples giving demos.
Yeah.
And so we were all thinking, it's just around the corner. That was 2003. It's finally here. It only took 15 years.
Yeah. Well, it's the classic, overnight success. It just took 10 years,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So from an academic standpoint, and then you did your PhD in UCD, as you say, and then in Columbia University, that must have been a fabulous experience to be in the States, to be working there, to be building your research there, and then to work for IBM. So from academia to global multinational.
Yeah, I mean, I still, my contacts I made back then are still relevant today. I mean, we hire very well through our network. We get access to some core speech tech groups that we now are looking to partner with through a lot of our experience, because a lot of the people I would have worked with in Columbia or in IBM are all over the world now in different places. So it's actually a very, it's still somewhat a small community in speech recognition. So that's been hugely beneficial to the company and how we build and we hire and we advertise and we get into the boardrooms of relevant companies that we need to speak to. And then after that I ended up working, when I finished the PhD, I started working for Bell Labs, Nokia Bell Labs now in Dublin, and my team was based in New Jersey at the time. But again, a lot of the people who I worked with over the 7 years there are all over the world, and we're still, those contacts are those professional contacts with friend contacts, they're over all that period of time served where we are today very well.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So you've got an international network. You're able to connect into that out of Dublin. The multinationals that you worked with here are helping with that as well, obviously. So you're in Dublin. You're based in Dublin, but you've got such a global, not only global market, but a global network for everything else, from expertise to talent, everything else.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of important. We're a B2B, so we're always licensing our technology to companies big and small. But to be able to get into the boardrooms for starters, and you're in at the right level, and then their wants and needs and their worries, and realizing simple things that, like a big multinational, the right hand often doesn't know what the left hand's doing. So just because you talk to someone there and they might have said no, doesn't mean nobody in the organization is interested. You just need someone to own that relationship and want that relationship to make it work. And so you don't give up that easily. You continue to find the right avenue in, and working for those organizations for so long, it becomes clear and clear how they operate and what the issues are, and given those issues, how you deal with it, and then how you present and how you know who you need to talk to get the decision made, and all that's been really helpful to get where we are today.
Yeah. I mean, you so from an academic to working in multinationals to being a founder, you make that sound like a natural progression. Does it feel like that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, in Bell Labs, I worked on the commercialization of research innovations. So I kind of, a little bit left academia behind, where it's supposedly, mostly blue skies research, really. And then you're more about doing applied research and working with business groups to figure out their wants and needs, and then finding products that can advance the business or create new verticals in the business. But that's actually quite a big thing. Taking research from the lab to the living room is not trivial, and people often underestimate that.
Right.
So those years I had in Bell Labs was actually often like, I felt like I was pitching a lot of the time, and I didn't realize at the time that's kind of what you end up doing on the startup.
Like pitching for funding?
Yeah, really, because you're pitching for resources. You're pitching an idea. You have to do a value proposition. you have to give, you have to estimate times, you have to estimate the benefit to the business, you have to demonstrate the market need. You do all those things, and I didn't even realize it. I was just kind of, wouldn't this be cool if we did this? And then I go pitching. So then when I eventually left and started the business, those skills helped. Yeah, those skills helped to
completely.
Yeah.
You brought it all to the fore and brought some
Yeah.
great people with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so as a female founder, fundraising, which you're constantly as a startup, constantly fundraising, do you feel like Ireland has been open and welcoming to that, not just for you specifically, but in general as a culture? Do you think that we're a good place to be a business leader, be a female founder, and get funding?
I think female founders will still struggle here. I mean, I won't say it's across the board, but you definitely have pockets of people doubting you. I had 20 years and I worked for all these multinationals. I was an academic, I have a PhD. For some people it was like not enough. And so when people call it out and saying, oh, we just fund experienced people, I had the experience, and there still was a lot of people turning me down because they just didn't believe that I could just pull off what I said I was going to do and what we have done. So maybe people are always skeptical. Maybe it was being female. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I certainly found that when we looked abroad, it was just easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you think Ireland still has a ways to go, and probably a lot of countries still have a ways to go in recognizing and supporting funding for female founders.
I'd love to see more female GPs in VCs. I would like to see that. I mean, I think I would
so general partners
in venture capital firms, that every VC, their next hire, make an effort, and sometimes it is more of an effort to search. Maybe you gotta, when you're advertising for your next GP, your general partner, maybe you change the wording of the advertisement. Maybe you look a little broader outside your own network, because maybe you don't have enough women in your network if you're a male GP.
Right.
I'd love to see that. I think that would fundamentally change investment in Ireland, because a lot of times when you have a decision maker about where the investment goes who maybe doesn't get the female point of view or the product that would be more attractive to the female demographic, often they will turn it down in that way. Or maybe sometimes, the gut, hires I would say invests in
Right.
If you had a female at every investment committee meeting, maybe it'd be different. Because some are, and we have some great female GPs, but we don't have enough of them.
Yeah.
And it's not across the board. We can all count them on one hand, less than half hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that should change, and I don't think that's a hard thing to change. It's just, it takes will.
Yeah, and it takes purpose and conscious thinking.
Yeah.
The opposite to unconscious bias.
And
right?
I think, look, a lot of people can make, say words and say, oh, we'll commit, but to do something real, the one thing people can do is balance their investment committees and better.
Yeah, great. And I think we're talking a lot about that in Ireland these days. We're thinking a lot about it. TechIreland is measuring funding for female founders. Yeah. So I think we're on a journey, and I think companies like Soapbox Labs and spokespeople like you, Trish, can help us to get there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm only delighted.
Super. Congratulations on everything so far, and looking forward to seeing the star continue to rise.
Okay, thank you, Niamh.